It is time to begin the second leg of group stage play in Men's Division II Group B. Mike Peden with you. Here I am all by myself talking to myself. That's Chaos Theory. We're still with you on YouTube as we begin the second half of the U.S. Handball Union National Championships group stage play. This is Division II Group B, Columbus in white, Miami in black, and everyone giving each other the pleasantries, the handshakes before we begin. Columbus put up a 40 spot. I should say Miami put up a 40 spot in their first group stage game and win over Dallas. Columbus lost a close one with Minnesota. We'll get names and numbers as we make our way through. That's number 77, Castaneda, who went off balance, but still gets Columbus on the board. That is going to be a key for this Columbus program. After seeing Miami rack up 40 goals in that runaway win over Dallas, it was our first game this morning. Miami working beyond that 9-meter line. Diaz fakes, sees an opening. Oh, Orr got the play on it. I think number 8 Diaz got a little too cute there trying to evade pressure. I think a hard hitting shot would have done it. But a break for Columbus in the early going. As they work their way around, Castaneda sent away. Miami's keeper, Oliveira, had a productive outing, but Columbus will get another chance. No shot clock per se, but again, you can't be passive as Columbus tries the one-timer. Cooper Black. If you were with us for the first game, we've got the names and numbers sorted out. The names you see on the jerseys don't line up with the names we were given in the program. There's a grab. And Miami will reset at the 9-meter line. Again, just underway in the second of 3 group stage games here in Men's Division II. Orr with another save. Got another one, but it bounced off and in. Miami is on the board. And if you're Columbus, JD and Kurt, who were with us in the booth the last 2 games, weren't thrilled about the prospect of facing them, but keep them in front of you, or at the very least, keep them from running away. Don't give up an early run like Dallas did. Oliveira going outlet, but it's too long and it will get away from number 24, Eduardo Mascarell. Miami looking a little sluggish, a little out of sync to start this game. Of course, it is still really, really early. Near that 6-meter line, there was some traffic there. Miami does get the stop. Columbus with the fast break. Castaneda making it 2-1 in favor of the Ohio team. Number 17, Cuba, got tangled up, but a foul was called, so that will be a reset for Miami. Miami Storms is their name. They wore red earlier. They're wearing black here. Orr with another save. Left the outlet pass a little soft. And now Miami has a chance to score in transition. That is not something you want to do if you're an opponent, because folks like Orlando Garcia can pounce with fury. Schwach around traffic, can't get it through. And Josh Verstaffel, who was officiating our last game, playing on this Columbus team. As Kurt mentioned, JD as well. He gives up another one as it deflected off of his arm and into the net. Another goal for Garcia. A lot of these athletes wearing multiple hats. Several players from the California team that just came off that close, gritty win over Salt Lake, running the camera, just like the Dallas team did in our last game. So you get to watch some handball and everyone getting some reps at other positions. Here's Schwach looking for Castaneda. Instead tried to bounce it into Giannotis. Another transition look for Miami, another score. Mayoral gives Miami a 4-2 lead, and that could spell trouble with a capital T, which rhymes with P, and it stands for pool. I'll show myself out. 23:53 left in the first half, approximately. Schwach back to 19. Lyndon Suvanto. Columbus gets one back. We're live throughout the weekend here at Westgate Casino and Resort in Las Vegas. It is 110 degrees outside, approximately, but climate controlled here. Columbus gets the stop. Castaneda has the ball again. Miami's fans urging them on. Shot from the middle, bounces in for Suvanto. And Columbus, so far, keeping pace with Miami. When you watch an opponent put up 40 goals in the preceding game, it can make for a daunting experience when you've got to go against them. Kurt Schaefer and JD Orr, who are calling games with us in our women's bracket. As Mayoral scores again. Wincing at the notion of having to face a team with such a high-powered, high-octane offense. But the longer you can hang around, and Columbus, they were right there with Minnesota in the first group stage game. It was neck and neck all the way through. Minnesota got that late break at the end to pull it off. Schwach to Castaneda along the right side. He'll go in himself and add another one to the Columbus column. We're even at 5. As far as keys to the game, not a whole lot of time to prep between games with what we do. Calling 8 games in a day. We'll get a little bit of a break tomorrow because the U.S. women's national team will get some practice time as the shot from Diaz sails over the net or has to go behind to retrieve it. And then Sunday will be a lighter session. We'll be out of here by the afternoon. And then I'll fly back home to my stomping grounds, the Twin Cities. Touching all parts of the country, in some cases the globe, for this tournament. Castaneda was grabbed, reset at the 9-meter line. Schwach with the flip to Castaneda, he gets hit again. Castaneda, oh my! Had a passing error there, but in this sport you can go to the backcourt to retrieve. Sidearm sling by Suvanto. Saved by Oliveira. Sanchez, yes! Jose Sanchez. Now Miami, they're probably used to a different kind of heat, the muggy kind. You don't see 110-degree temperature readings necessarily, but here's Suvanto, off-speed shot. Miami going outlet. This time the pass gets away again. That's the second time. And Orr making sure his group stage opponent's all right. Mascarell, that's the second time he has been unable to chase down an outlet.
Go ahead and stay in for a few, too.
And that might not have counted anyway. Miami was able to get the ball back. Mascarell will take a breather. Looks like he's going to go for a drink. I was going to say, talking with a few of the folks who've worked here, they've noticed you don't build up too much of a sweat, and that's because of the desert climate here in Vegas. You can't notice it, but I noticed that. Emmanuel Fernandez got the goal despite having a fistful of Cooper Black on him. Miami with a 2-goal lead. 18:35 left. Castaneda looking for the pass to Giannotis. Miami with the takeaway. From the corner, yes, Sanchez again. Those corner routes can reap big rewards. And I think sometimes you're not always eyeing up those corners. One of my basketball friends was known for her short corner jumpers, for example. Castaneda. Quick give and go. Fires. And he drew the foul, so a reset at the 9-meter mark. And Castaneda makes the most of his second chance. Castaneda has been active in the early going, but Miami holds an 8-6 lead, trying to get that first degree of separation here at Westgate Casino and Resort, Las Vegas, Nevada. Diaz goes low for another goal. And they say Vegas, what happens here stays here, but a hotbed of conventions, entertainment, you name it. Suvanto from the left wing. Offense, not hard to come by, and if you watch the first group stage game, these two certainly didn't have any trouble fine-tuning their offensive approach. Who can get enough defensive stops? That may be key. You may give up a lot of goals. I think any handball team, any goalie knows that's going to happen. As Mayor draws the foul. Looks like we may have had a defender inside the pocket, inside that 6-meter zone. So Jose Martinez gets the penalty throw, and he bounces it too hard. It skirts over the crossbar and out of play. A big break for Columbus with just under 16 minutes to go in the first half. 9-7. Miami over Columbus in the second of 3 group stage games. Miami won their opening round. Columbus looking to get one here. That will not count. And that's not going to count either. Both sides invading the pocket, that 6-meter zone. As we've said many times, that one staying outside the zone, but Giannotis in the zone on that transition feed with Alton Jordan. Going to say no offensive or defensive player can enter the 6-meter zone. which adds a layer of strategy you don't see with other sports. In lacrosse, for example, an offensive player can't enter the crease, but any defensive player can. Basketball, well, you can roam about where you see fit. Hockey a little more restrictive with the goalies, but all of that adds a lot to this. It will be Miami ball. Late whistle was blown on the foul. Diaz goes up and goes bottom corner. (10-8). A quick moving first half. Offense reigning supreme so far. Schwach, Castaneda. Back to Schwach. There's no shot clock per se, but remember there's the passive rule, passive play protocols, as Cooper Black sends that shot out of bounds. You have 3 seconds to make a play, but you don't need 3 seconds if you're someone like Fernandez, who's wearing the Cuba jersey. He makes it 11-8, and Miami making that first wave, that first run. Diaz is looking to sling it over to Sanchez on the left side. Nothing doing. Schwach to Savanto, to Schwach again. Castaneda could not traverse around the wall, and that leads to a fast break score for Mayol. 12-8. Stoffel checks back in. He's been officiating a lot of these games, including our opening doubleheader last night. Now we've got 2.5 days. I say that because Sunday will be a short day. Miami looking to make short work of Columbus here, and they're well on their way. Sanchez makes it 13-8. And Columbus is going to call a timeout.
I don't have a card, so. You have to push the button.
That will stop the clock with 12 minutes and 20 seconds as Miami leads 13-8.
Oh, yeah, this is it's not a good
13-8 our score. Miami in front. A reminder for this tournament, each team gets 2 timeouts and a flex timeout. About 12 minutes left in the first half. Miami with a 13-8 lead. Columbus hung with them early, but Miami's power and finesse starting to break through, seep through those cracks. Another stop for Miami Storm. Sanchez goes off the corner. The carom. Castaneda chases after it. But a miscommunication on the Columbus route will give Miami a free ball. Mayor knows exactly what to do with it, baiting J.D. Orr. And the Miami run continues to grow. Never an easy task. From the corner, tough angle. That was Suvanto, but it bounces off the left post. Miami with another chance to pad their lead. Miami getting a substitution in on this set. La'o goes in. Again, you don't have a shot clock in the traditional sense. You do have to make a play of some kind in 3 seconds when you have possession. And then officials, again, it's at their discretion, can call a passive play. You have to make some sort of attempt at the net. Miami won't have any trouble there. Another off-speed dose of trickery on the part of La'o. And Miami slowly pulling ahead. We'll see how their group stage game with Minnesota goes, but Miami could be the team to beat in Division II Group B. 4 groups in all, 3 men's groups, 1 women's group. We'll have the 3rd place game on court 2, but right now we're going to see La'o take another transition feed into the net for a score. Right now, Miami getting a lot of uncontested looks. And that's overwhelming a Columbus team that has had to scrap a bit for scoring chances. 16-8 with about 8.5 minutes left. Make it 17-8 on the play by Garcia. Columbus was in it in the early going, but this is often the case when you go up against those juggernauts. You can hang with them early, but it seems like Miami able to make those reads, adjustments, changes, and doing so quite splendidly as they have turned a close start into another runaway performance, potentially with 7 minutes and change in the first half. They will add to it on the top shelf shot by 1 Hector Gora. Miami, I think, has scored 8 in a row. Savanto's shot goes wide left. No, that did go through. So it's 18-9. And a penalty throw coming for Gerardo Diaz. He makes it 19-9. Schwach to Castaneda. Lost it to Mayor. Or with the kick save, but the long carom goes back to Mayor. Lao underneath Orr's legs. And it's 20-9. Columbus already used their designated first half timeout. They could use their flex if they wanted. And they get another one. It's been a while, but coming in from the left side was Cooper Black, who flew it underneath. Miami working around, going up. It will be Columbus ball as Gora, I believe, crossed that 6-meter zone. Avoiding the pocket. Schwach avoiding the pocket. Always key. Oliveira with the tap, but the pass not quite in John Delgado's range position. Castaneda was disrupted going up, but I didn't hear the whistle initially. He did draw the foul. He will get a penalty throw out of this. That finds its way to the net. 20-11 with less than 5 to play in the first half here in Las Vegas. Westgate Casino and Resort. 8 games here. Court 1 will also have a skills competition at the end. A goal for Radel Lao. And we'll get a 2-minute suspension on top of that. The suspension going against Cooper Black. With 4 minutes and 15 seconds left. The suspension coming on the takedown. And the goal stands. That one will stand too. Just a quick run through the middle for John Delgado. Savanto to Schwach. Castaneda. Sidearm shovel pass for Stoffel. Looking for the off-speed lob. Oliveira. Ensuring that would not get through. Miami, for the first time in a while, running a set here. Delgado was harassed on the way up. Ended up losing the ball. For Stoffel, keeping the ball away, absorbing the grab by Cardona, number 20. For Stoffel. Now Suvanto, Schwach. Had the ball stripped by Lao. Another transition look, another transition score for Delgado. And from the teams I have seen so far, Miami is probably the most dangerous with a man advantage. as the suspension expires. Oh, Degora goes up. Suvanto responsible for the block there. Castaneda with the pass. Oliveira, outlet to La'o, but Orr was ready for him. Goalies will tell you it's risky to go out there, but it's one way to get a transition stop. 23-11, but a soft underthrown pass ends the ball back to Miami. Delgado. La'o was calling for it. He thought he had a chance to score on the run. Instead, Delgado stepped across the 6-meter zone. Savanto, Oliveira with the chest save. We'll have a stoppage in play after Mascarol got held by the Columbus defender. Miami having to go to the position of the foul for the reset. As the seconds wind down, Orr gets one more stop. Columbus, can they get something in time? Doesn't look like it. The clock is going to run out on them. So, it is halftime. With the score 23-11. Miami over Columbus, and it looks like the Miami Storms will be sitting a course for an undefeated pair of group stage games today. We'll see if Columbus can change it up and make a charge in just a few minutes as we continue live coverage of the U.S. Handball Union National Championships here at Westgate Casino and Resort in Las Vegas.
I gotta say, I'm pretty happy to see that those guys are also getting hammered. Because if it was only us, I would feel bad for tomorrow. Yeah, no,
Second half underway here at Westgate Resort. I've done so many games, I'm fusing words now. Casino and Resort in Las Vegas. Miami taking too long. Again, you get about 3 seconds before that passive play rule comes into effect. And unfortunately for number 8 of Miami Storm, Cerrado Diaz, he was out in the middle, not really making any kind of play with the ball. And so that is a turnover. Columbus, that pass slightly got away. You have to make a play for the ball. Cooper Black entered the pocket. There is a change. In the case of Miami, Toma taking over for Oliveira. We saw this in our first game, and Kurt elaborated on this a little further because you're playing 2 games today. After this, everyone will play just once for the most part. Castaneda to Black. Gets one through to get Columbus the first goal of the second half. But you'll see the keepers sometimes swap out to keep them fresh and keep them limber in case someone has to sub in. As he put it, you don't want to have someone logging the bulk of the minutes, suffer some kind of injury or other ailments, and have to send in another goalie coming in cold. But Miami, not cold in the slightest, not with folks like Jose Sanchez. One of the Dallas players came over and said, I don't feel so bad now with Miami running the table, setting the scene. Well, and even if you do get on the losing end of a runaway game, that's not the end of the world. This sport doesn't have the same following that most sports you're used to seeing me call do, and that's fine. But you do see the international flavor as Lao's shot was stopped by Orr. Good play by Diaz just to knock the ball away. And that leads to another rapid strike score on the part of Garcia. But it was set up by Diaz just making a play to keep the ball away. Forced Giannotis to enter the zone with it. It wasn't anything spectacular, but it got the job done. And Suvanto gets the job done there from the middle. But right now, Miami, the bellwether, the barometer in this group, Division II Group B. Minnesota and Dallas will follow. Then we'll have another women's group stage game, and then we'll close out this session as Miami closes out another possession with a Fernandez score. We'll close out the session with a men's Group 1 game. Schwach finds Black in the corner. Held up by Lao. And we'll have a reset at the 9-meter spot after a quick moment to retrieve the ball as it sailed into the hallway. Errant pass. And Columbus coughs it up anyway. Theo Fields couldn't catch it. Sanchez hounded initially, evaded, and scored. Black was looking for Giannotis. Instead, it's going to be another quick strike session for Miami, who now holds a 29-13 lead. I'll say this about Columbus as Suvanto scores. Toma needs a moment to gather himself. Columbus offensively doing a solid job. It's not like they are struggling to put up goals. The problem is Miami is stringing together several rallies. And that transition attack of theirs, extremely difficult to contain because they can hit you with that speed, strength, and quickness. When you look at the shot velocity, their ability to travel the length of the floor in a short amount of time. And goes up, so Miami will have to make their attack soon. Reset for Miami, but again, the hand is still up, which means they're being a little too passive. One-timer, or with a couple of saves. But then Castaneda couldn't hang on to the ball. Miami with a free net. And they will take that free space in for a goal. 30-14. Looks like we're going to have another Miami runaway. Those vices of Miami with a firm, unrelenting grip. Columbus getting a few shots to go in, though. Suvanto, individually, he would be having a solid day. But Columbus, no match for the Jan Hammer of Division II Group B. That would be Miami. Garcia to Diaz. Ooh, that went off the face, but it stays with Miami as they search from the perimeter and then take one from the wing. All that searching and once again, Suvanto, if you threw the team score aside, Suvanto would be doing extremely well. Unfortunately, you don't win this sport on your own. It is a team sport first and foremost. And Miami with a 31-16 lead. Columbus had a transition look. Well, no, they didn't. They had to reset from the spot of the foul. Columbus spotted up too early. So for the Armada, they'll have to run a traditional set. Castaneda. Rebound, Castaneda. With the second chance opportunity. We've mentioned this before as a goalie. The second chance looks are the most vulnerable. You put all that energy into getting the first stop, which Toma pulled off successfully. Mayor. Giannotis let Martinez go and came up with an astounding defensive stop. Columbus, though, would need a lot to go their way to mount a comeback. But one at a time, that's how you do it. Giannotis knows a thing or two about that. That makes it 31-18. Again, Columbus. All in all, not doing terribly. They're just running up against that buzzsaw, the juggernaut. That is Miami. Well, if you're going to stage a comeback, we have a clock stoppage here with 19:46. Not sure what that was about, but back to action. And Miami back to business. Howard. Cardona. Miami has been doing this all day. Their ability to turn takeaways, changes of possession into quick scores, leads me to think they will be the team to beat, as they'll pick up their second group stage win in all likelihood, assuring them a spot in the championship round. And I wouldn't be surprised if they won the whole thing. But Miami, cognizant of their situation, we're seeing them back off a little bit on these sets. Now Sanchez ascends to the heavens to send down another goal. (34-18). Aaron throw. Another fine set for Miami. And Johannes Alvarez. Castaneda from the middle. Cardona grabbed him by his jersey. That's a no-no. Giannotis. Makes it 35-19. Still a long way to go, though, in the second half. And Miami, 40 was impressive in that first game. They could be even more prolific here as Delgado got the score. We often talk about the hallmark of a contender, your ability to win the ugly games, but as Cardona sends that one a little high. As Cardona and Miami have demonstrated in their second group stage game, another hallmark is building upon your previous effort. 40 in the first game was impressive, but how do you follow up a big game? We're going to have a ball adjustment. No, just a reglue for Delgado and crew. But Miami on pace to outperform their first game mark potentially. We still have over 15 minutes left of this half. And number 18, Lao and his buddies, not ready to back off and cruise home yet. They want to assert their authority going into tomorrow's final day of group stage competition. Castaneda. Ball got away from him. Overall, this game has been relatively smooth, but we are going to have our first suspension of any kind. It's on number 5, Dylan Chapotin. It's likely not going to change the outcome of this game, but it does put Miami in a shorthanded position again. Miami getting a couple of shorthanded looks, and they may get some more as Columbus will be hit with a suspension. So this game was relatively penalty free, but in that last sequence there was a takedown on Giannotis, and that will hand the ball back to Martinez, who converts the penalty throw. So we will resume play with about 13.5 minutes left. Again, the clock approximate to the game clock, which is right next to us here at Court 2. Castaneda got one past Toma. Columbus, again, doing better offensively against Miami than Dallas did, but Miami also kicking things up a notch on their end. If you get 30 goals, that's a good day. Leg save by Orr against Delgado. I was going to say, as Miami returns to full strength, they're in position to pick up 40 here and still have time to check out one of the many shows in Las Vegas. Oh, Howard Cardona unable to keep his grip on that one, so there will not be a transition chance there. Mascarell making contact with Cooper Black. Traveling Colin Suvanto. Mascarell gets ahead of him, but Orr responds with a kick save. Suvanto back out as both teams are now at full strength again. Suvanto, his shot deflected in a sea of traffic. Toma And number 6 of Columbus, Theo Fields, share a laugh as they both make a play for the ball and share a quick word about it. There is a sense of camaraderie here. Again, this sport doesn't have as deep of a following as the more traditional sports that I typically call for my YouTube channel and Twin Cities stations. So I imagine there's a lot of camaraderie just from the shared familiarity these teams have with one another. This may have a small-time feel, but again, handball has a big-time following out in Europe. And that is a big-time score for Hector Gora. And what has been another offensive clinic. Miami hasn't even bothered to take a timeout. That's how dominant they've been. You don't get a ton of them, of course, but the fact that they haven't called one says a lot about how well they think their program is running. Alvarez will be called for the double dribble, so no goal awarded. Black to Schaefer. Fields with another errant throw. Delgado this time. It took a little extra step, but the result is the same. Lao with the transition goal. 40-20 with just under 10 minutes left in the second half. Black to Schaefer with the spin move and the finish. Mascarell around. Howard Cora with another Miami score. As we said, if you're Columbus, you could say, well, we fared better than Dallas offensively, but Miami stepping things up as well. And based on what I saw from Minnesota, we'll see them again against Dallas here in the second group stage game, as we're going to get a suspension. And the suspension will go against both teams. It was a dual suspension. I think involving Giannotis and Delgado. So we've got 5-on-5 for the next 2 minutes. It's not unlike hockey where you get the double minors. Empty net as Orr leaked out. And Johannes Alvarez with the handball equivalent. Of the empty netter in hockey, an empty net goal. Miami decides to take their timeout. Minnesota and Dallas will follow in their second group stage game. We'll take another look at our day 2 schedule. You can see we're in the second half. Then we'll close up women's group stage play with Vancouver and the California Eagles, who picked up a big win over massive Salt Lake. And then we'll end with a Division I battle on the men's side between Chicago and SF Cal Heat. That is the remaining games on today's docket. Miami has a second group stage win locked up, that much we know. And relatively few stoppages to speak of. We are still running slightly behind schedule. So our next game will start a little after the original start time, but we are moving along at a pretty solid clip. Miami traveling at a solid clip, better than solid. The first game you may not have seen from the start owing to some technical issues we were dealing with, but I don't think there's anyone having trouble here as Castaneda was fouled before the shot. He'll try again, trying to squeeze through.
It's 6:51.
Gora
10 seconds. We're together. It's all good. Yeah, it's all good.
Gora with the suspension. Schaefer for the penalty throw. Academic as far as the score, but again, there are tiebreaker scenarios here in the group stage play because there's only 4 teams. There won't be a knockout round with most of the groups. And what is turning into an offensive torrent, flood, raging waters. Castaneda, now Black. Miami cutting it off, looking to run another transition set. La'o catches up to it, but underthrows the shot significantly. Oliveira back out at the goalie position to close this one. And again, Minnesota and Dallas will follow in just a few minutes. And that will conclude our Division II Group B games. Again, only 4 teams in each group. There's another example. When you have a big lead, perhaps you have more room to afford such shenanigans from time to time as Castaneda scores. But I feel like a couple of occasions Miami got a little too cute on the transition look, trying to execute those razzle-dazzle moves when you've got a one-on-one with the goalie. From my experience, the majority of the time, if you have an uncontested look at the net, you don't have anything to worry about. But there are other times where the goalie does make that big save, as we saw in our last women's game between Salt Lake and California. Delgado with another goal. We're back at full strength. Castaneda giving Columbus another goal to hang their hat on. Miami not taking any hurry to reset the offense. Mascarell. Delgado fakes the pass, goes bottom corner. 45-24. For Columbus, 24 would be a little lower, but not a terrible day at the office. But 45, a much better one as Castaneda was pulled from behind by number 14. Jose Sanchez. Castaneda into Stoffel. Leaping steal by Suvanto. And the teardrop for Black will not count. From the looks of it, both teams, I wouldn't want to say going through the motions because that would imply they're phoning it in or just taking a lax approach, but you don't see that urgency that we saw earlier. I think both teams are just riding out the rest of this game, not trying to do anything too wild or ridiculous. And Scores to make it 46-24. Fields looking for Schaefer, can't find him. Lake save by Orr. Miami, they've got a well-built program. When you look at their roster, they can go too deep just about. Columbus a little smaller in depth. But Orr playing up to his potential at goalie. Okay, I don't think you'll want to say too much against a team that has scored 46, but he has come up with a few saves in transition, so it's not like everything has slipped through his detection unit. Castaneda. Columbus can't execute that one. Again, Minnesota and Dallas will follow. In a game, what has been, for the most part, an exquisite display of offensive productivity for Miami. They scored 40 in the first game. They took a step forward in this one, and I don't know how their meeting with Minnesota will go because that's tomorrow. But we'll get a good sense of where Minnesota's at. And with this group, there will be a crossover battle since there are two teams. No goal for Miami, and Oliveira sent it down just about, put it on net as the final seconds tick away on a runaway win. But Columbus will get one more for Theo Fields, and that's a final. 46-25. Miami will end the day with an undefeated mark in group stage play. And as we noted before, there will be some crossover games taking place in the two groups. So Miami goes to 2-0. They'll have one more group stage game tomorrow. That will be at Court 1 at 2:15 local time, Pacific time. Miami and Minnesota, but right now it's Dallas and Minnesota coming up next as we continue live coverage of the U.S. Handball Union National Championships here at Westgate Casino and Resort in Las Vegas.